Is bad data costing your recruitment agency millions? Well, in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 tips plus an epic bonus tip worth thousands that's going to help you understand your data and get it cleaned up this year. So in at number 1, I advise checking to see what is and isn't being used under candidate, contact, job and placement records. I would do this by adding additional columns to your view, then seeing what is and isn't being added. As you can see here, for some reason, job titles just are not getting added to the candidate records. Additionally, under here, within our job records, there are no salaries being added against any of these jobs. This means we're not going to have full data added for really important records like candidates and jobs. The more information you can add, the more thorough your system will be. If you identify that there are any fields that aren't being used, you might look to make these mandatory, or you might look to do some training sessions for your teams so they can really understand the importance of this data within the recruitment lifecycle. If you are using a third party, for example, Lusher, or Sourcewell or LinkedIn, to pull records through to Bullhorn from somewhere else, then you need to check that this information is coming through correctly. Sometimes when you're using third parties, not all the information is there and it isn't necessarily all coded up in the way we would have it on Bullhorn. So really make sure that this is being fully utilised by the third parties, and if it isn't, reach out to them and they'll be able to support you with this. I would also recommend speaking to your team to see if there's anything that they need to have within Bullhorn that currently isn't tracked. For example, candidate date of birth or qualifications. This brings me on to point number 2. Are your team storing information in spreadsheets or Word documents outside of Bullhorn? When this happens, we have data in the spreadsheet and in Bullhorn. And very rarely is Bullhorn then correct. You should not be storing information outside the CRM. This is for data protection, this is for data quality, and also maximising the functionality that Bullhorn has available. If your teams are using spreadsheets and not Bullhorn, you need to understand why. And I'd really recommend seeing what is stored on those spreadsheets so you can identify different ways that you can help bring that data back into Bullhorn. Again, that might be through training, that might be through adding different fields or doing some configuration to remove those spreadsheets. So going forward, we have one single source of truth, which is what we want. That is going to mean that your data accuracy is much more thorough as well. And add-on features to Bullhorn, such as Bullhorn Analytics and Bullhorn Automation, are going to be a lot more accurate as well because that data is in one place within Bullhorn. So in at number 3, we have location data. When we are looking and searching for candidates to send over to our clients, location data and where those candidates live will probably be one of the main factors that we use within searching. Now, what I see time and time again is information stored within the wrong fields in Bullhorn. For example, they will have a city but no state. They will have a country but no city or state. Or they'll have absolutely nothing at all. And that's not going to help you locate those candidates when a role that actually suits them comes up. So there's a few ways that we can look into doing this. First of all, I would look at candidates who have a city and no state. You could then use a product such as Bullhorn Automation to say, we know the city is Chicago and the state is Illinois, therefore, can we use Bullhorn Automation to populate the state as Illinois? You can then do this with backdated records as well as anyone else who joins the system. Alternatively, if we have somebody who is living in Illinois or New York or Washington, then we know that their country is the United States. So we can then start to update these records and build out searches or potentially even hot lists of a group of candidates to make sure we know their exact location. Now, unfortunately, the likelihood is you may well have a large proportion of candidates who you've still got no address data from. You could obviously look at their CVs one by one to get that data and then populate it, but that's probably going to take quite a long time. So you could use a product such as Bullhorn Automation to send surveys to candidates and ask them to send you their data or their postcode, their address, their city, their country, which can then be updated automatically via Bullhorn Automation. That will then help your searching and really improve that going forwards. And as AI is coming to the forefront of what we're doing within Bullhorn and the recruitment industry, AI is only going to be as good as the data within it. So spending a few weeks gradually improving the data quality of your locations is going to be really worthwhile. I recently did this for a client and I spent 6 hours building out automations and location updates within Bullhorn, and through that alone we've been able to unlock 100,000 candidates or thereabouts through simply using the city and the state updates and the country updates to get it where it needs to be. So that was a very worthwhile task and very easy for you to do. Tip number 4 is about creating a culture of good data hygiene. In what I'm going to call the olden days of recruitment, a lot of people were targeted or promoted to just add on candidates, add on companies, add on contacts. I still go through the system now and I see like help desk email addresses. So it will be, for example, if someone's trying to add on a contact from Amazon, the email address will be help@amazon.com. No, that's not a contact. That record should not be on the system. So please do go through and create something like this slice and dice report that I've done within Bullhorn Analytics, so you can see the quality of the data that is being added. It's really important to us that candidates are coded properly, they have the right job title, they have the right skills, they have a phone number, they have an email address, so we can now see which consultants are and aren't adding the data on correctly. And if that is happening, and the data isn't as thorough as it needs to be, you can obviously pick that up, conduct training, and really help them understand why the data import and the data they're adding on is so very important for them and the future of the database, because having clean data will help them make more placements going forward. I actually work with a couple of clients who have tied in data hygiene and data sort of cleanliness and that process to the promotion criteria and the bonus criteria. So the consultants whose data quality and data hygiene is not there will not be getting promotions and they will not be getting a data quality bonus. So it's something to consider in your business. It has really helped improve the data that is going into those clients' systems. Point number 5 before our epic bonus point that is worth thousands is taking a look at the live data you have. Are the number of live jobs correct? Is the number of live opportunities, live leads, contractors whose start date is upcoming, is that correct? Using the placement end date to identify the number of your live contractors out today. The number of upcoming perm starters. Is this information correct? Normally, I see live jobs open that should have been shut down months ago. I recently saw a Bullhorn system that had 20,000 leads, and the reality is about 100 of them were still open. We need to close this information down. This will mean that you then know exactly where you're starting out from. Your consultants know exactly what records, jobs, leads, opportunities they should be chasing, and it also helps them understand what contractors and what placements are currently live or I'll have an upcoming start date. To go through this, again, I would recommend looking at leads, opportunities, live jobs, the placements that have happened recently, as well as the number of upcoming starters and live runners. You could even look at the amount of interviews and CVs that have happened in the last few weeks, and this information should be live. If it isn't, get those users, get those owners to close all that down. Alternatively, you could use tools such as Bullhorn Automation to automatically close jobs if they've been open for more than 180 days. So look at those processes to make this automated so that going forwards, you do not end up in a scenario when you've got 1,000 open jobs on Bullhorn, but the reality is you may have 50 to 100. Now, if this is actually a real problem within your business and your team aren't using the system properly, then this is where my awesome bonus tip comes in. I have built a playlist right here on Bullhorn that covers end-to-end training. It is completely free. It gives you and your users everything you need to know on how to use Bullhorn and the best practice around that. So go give that a watch.